One of them, who appeared to be the leader, told me they were going to take me before the Tsar. And our Father, added he, will decide whether you are to be hung at once or if we are to wait for God's sunshine. I offered no resistance. Savéliitch followed my example, and the sentries led us away in triumph. We crossed the ravine to enter the settlement. All the peasants' houses were lit up. All around arose shouts and noise. I met a crowd of people in the street, but no one paid any attention to us, or recognized in me an officer of Orenburg. We were taken to a izba, built in the angle of two streets. Near the door were several barrels of wine and two cannons. "Here is the palace," said one of the peasants, "we will go and announce you." He entered the izba. I glanced at Savéliitch. The old man was making the sign of the cross, and muttering prayers. We waited a long time. At last the peasant reappeared, and said to me, "Come, our father has given orders that the officer be brought in." I entered the izba, or the palace, as the peasant called it. It was lighted by two tallow candles, and the walls were hung with gold paper. All the rest of the furniture, the benches, the table, the little washstand jug hung to a cord, the towel on a nail, the oven fork standing up in a corner, the wooden shelf laden with earthen pots, all was just as in any other izba. Pugachev sat beneath the holy pictures in a red kaftan and high cap, his hand on his thigh. Around him stood several of his principal chiefs, with a forced expression of submission and respect. It was easy to see that the news of the arrival of an officer from Orenburg had aroused a great curiosity among the rebels, and that they were prepared to receive me in pomp. Pugachev recognized me at the first glance. His feigned gravity disappeared at once. "Ah! It is your lordship," said he, with liveliness. "How are you? What in heaven's name brings you here?" I replied that I had started on a journey on my own business, and that his people had stopped me. "And on what business?" asked he. I knew not what to say. Pugachev, thinking I did not want to explain myself before witnesses, made a sign to his comrades to go away. All obeyed except two, who did not offer to stir. Speak boldly before these, said Pugachev, hide nothing from them. I threw a side glance upon these two confederates of the usurper. One of them, a little old man, meager and bent, with a scanty gray beard, had nothing remarkable about him, except a broad blue ribbon worn crossways over his caftan of thick gray cloth. But I shall never forget his companion. He was tall, powerfully built, and appeared to be about 45. A thick red beard, piercing gray eyes, a nose without nostrils, and marks of the hot iron on his forehead and on his cheeks, gave to his broad face, seamed with smallpox, a strange and indefinable expression. He wore a red shirt, a Kyrgyz dress, and wide Cossack trousers. The first, as I afterwards learnt, was the deserter, Corporal Belaborodov. The other, Athanasius Sokolov, nicknamed Klapusha, was a criminal condemned to the mines of Siberia, whence he had escaped 3 times. In spite of the feelings which then agitated me, this company wherein I was thus unexpectedly thrown greatly impressed me. But Pugachev soon recalled me to myself by his question. Speak. On what business did you leave Orenburg? A strange idea occurred to me. It seemed to me that Providence, in bringing me a second time before Pugachev, opened to me a way of executing my project. I resolved to seize the opportunity, and, without considering any longer what course I should pursue, I replied to Pugachev. I was going to Fort Belogorsk, to deliver there an orphan who is being oppressed. Pugachev's eyes flashed. Who among my people would dare to harm an orphan? Cried he. Were he ever so brazen-faced, he should never escape my vengeance. Speak, who is the guilty one? Shvabrine, replied I, he keeps in durance the same young girl whom you saw with the priest's wife, and he wants to force her to become his wife. I'll give him a lesson, Master Shvabrine, cried Pugachev, with a fierce air. He shall learn what it is to do as he pleases under me, and to oppress my people. I'll hang him. Bid me speak a word, broke in Klapusha, in a hoarse voice. You were too hasty in giving Shvabrine command of the fort, and now you are too hasty in hanging him. You have already offended the Cossacks by giving them a gentleman as leader, do not, therefore, now affront the gentlemen by executing them on the first accusation. They need neither be overwhelmed with favors nor be pitied, the little old man with the blue ribbon now said, in his turn. There would be no harm in hanging Schwabrine, neither would there be any harm in cross-examining this officer. Why has he deigned to pay us a visit? If he do not recognize you as Tsar, he needs not to ask justice of you. If, on the other hand, he do recognize you, wherefore, then, has he stayed in Orenburg until now, in the midst of your enemies? Will you order that he be tried by fire? 64 It would appear that his lordship is sent to us by the generals in Orenburg. The logic of the old rascal appeared plausible even to me. An involuntary shudder thrilled through me as I remembered in whose hands I was. Pugachev saw my disquiet. Your lordship, said he, winking, it appears to me my field marshal is right.